Today, we're diving into one of the greatest character arcs in TV history, the story of Walter White. We're going to break down his 5-season transformation from a totally average, mild-mannered chemistry teacher into the infamous drug lord Heisenberg. We'll pinpoint the exact moments that took a good man and broke him bad.
And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's the whole point of the story. How does someone who seems perfectly normal, a good person even, get pushed over the edge, and not just once, but over and over again, until they become someone you don't even recognize?
Okay, so to really get this, we have to go back to the beginning. Before the meth empire, before Heisenberg, before all the danger, there was just Walt, and he was a man just simmering with this quiet, everyday desperation.
I mean, if you just looked at his life from the outside, you'd think he had it made, right? A family, a house, a stable job. But under all that, he was absolutely drowning in resentment. This guy is a certified genius who helped start a company that's now worth billions, but he sold his share for basically nothing. So now, he's teaching high school chemistry to kids who couldn't care less and working a second job where he has to clean their fancy cars. Every single day is just another reminder of what he sees as his life's biggest failures.
And then, bam, he gets diagnosed with terminal lung cancer. It's a death sentence, sure, but in a really twisted way, it's also liberating. Because when you've got nothing left to lose, what are you afraid of anymore? The consequences just kind of evaporate. He looks at his family, realizes he's going to leave them with nothing, and he makes a decision. A decision that changes everything, for everyone.
So this is where we see that first real crack in his moral foundation. And it's important to remember he doesn't just wake up one day and decide to be a monster. No, it all starts with two really powerful and really human feelings. Fear for his family's future and this spark of pride that's been buried for years.
We can call this first phase the catalyst stage. He hooks up with his burnout former student, Jesse Pinkman, and suddenly, for the first time in forever, his chemistry genius actually means something. He's not just some boring teacher anymore. He's the guy making the purest product out there. He feels important, maybe for the first time in his adult life.
Of course, getting into the criminal world isn't clean. It's brutal. And when he's forced to kill someone to save his own skin, his body just revolts. He cries, he throws up. The old Walter White is horrified. But here is the absolute key. It doesn't stop him. He keeps going.
But there's a moment coming up that is way more chilling. Because it's not a split-second decision in a life-or-death struggle. It's a cold, calculated choice. He finds Jesse's girlfriend, Jane, overdosing on heroin. He could save her. It would be easy to just roll her on her side. He has a choice. But he hesitates. And in that hesitation, he stops seeing a dying girl and starts seeing a problem, an obstacle that's threatening his control over Jesse. So he makes a conscious choice to do nothing. He just stands there and watches her die.
And that's it. That is the point of no return. His moral compass doesn't just get a little cracked, it completely shatters. He's not just a desperate guy anymore. He is now a man who will let an innocent person die just to protect his own interests. From here on out, it's all about the results, no matter the cost.
Okay, so this next phase is where things really start to accelerate. Walter is no longer just reacting to threats around him. Now, he is the threat, and it's all being fueled by this powerful, dangerous new engine, his own ego.
He gets offered a way out, a perfectly legal, high-paying job using his chemistry skills. You'd think he'd jump at it, right? But he turns it down. Why? Because it's not about the money anymore. Not really. It's about the power, the respect, the fear he inspires. He's not interested in being Walter White anymore. He's addicted to being Heisenberg.
And this all leads to probably the most iconic line in the whole series. When he says this to his terrified wife, it's not just a threat. It's a mission statement. It's him saying, I'm not the guy running from things anymore. I'm the thing people run from. He has completely become this new, terrifying person.
So when he goes up against the brilliant, terrifying drug lord Gus Fring, he doesn't back down. It's a deadly game of chess. And to win, Walt does something so twisted it's hard to even imagine. He poisons a little boy. Not to kill him, but just to manipulate Jesse's emotions, to turn Jesse into a weapon against their boss. It's a masterful, horrifying piece of psychological warfare and an absolute new low. At this point, any little shred of the victim he pretended to be is just gone. He is the architect of his own evil now. He's not just a player in a violent game, he's designing the game board, and he's doing it with this cold, terrifying precision. The transformation into the villain is 100% complete. And that brings us to the final chapter. Walt has won. He beat his enemies. He's the king. He has the empire he wanted. But, as we're about to see, sometimes the very things that get you to the top are the same things that bring you crashing down.
Once he's at the pinnacle of power, his own ego becomes his worst enemy. It's totally out of control. He can't walk away because he constantly needs to prove that he's the smartest guy in the room. And that arrogance just leads to mistake after mistake. He gets sloppy. He becomes paranoid. He ends up dismantling his own empire by killing his partners and driving away the very family he claimed he was doing it all for.
And the collapse is absolute. The empire is gone, the millions of dollars are gone, and his family wants nothing to do with him. He's completely alone, hiding out in a cabin in the woods, with nothing to do but think about how he got there.
And that forces him to make this one final devastating confession. For 5 seasons, the excuse was always, I did it for my family. But in the end, when there's nothing left, he finally admits the truth to his wife and to himself. I did it for me, I liked it, I was good at it. It was never really about his family's security. It was about feeding his own pride.
So after all that, what are we supposed to take away from this incredible story? Well, beyond all the drama and the action, the journey of Walter White is a really powerful cautionary tale.
It leaves us with a few pretty heavy warnings. First, that being a genius without any kind of moral compass is a terrifyingly destructive thing. Second, that your own ego can destroy you way faster and more completely than poverty ever could. It wasn't the cancer that ruined Walter White, it was his pride. And finally, and maybe this is the scariest part, the little lies we tell ourselves to justify our bad behavior, those can make even the most evil things feel perfectly normal.
Which leaves us with one last question to chew on. Walter White wasn't born a monster. His story seems to suggest that evil isn't some big, dramatic event. It's a long road you walk down, paved with one small bad choice after another. So it really makes you ask, are villains born or are they made, one choice at a time?